Sacramento in 2026 is not playing around. Most people still think of this place as that cheaper alternative to the Bay or that little government cow town in the middle of the state. But if you actually look at what's being built right now, from a brand new billion-dollar hospital campus downtown to massive new suburbs to a full riverfront glow up, you start to realize that Sacramento is a completely different chapter. In this video of everything new and coming soon to Sacramento, California in 2026, I'm going to walk you through 10 major projects and growth areas that are refreshing the entire region. A huge new medical center at the rail yards, waterfront and riverfront transformations on both sides of the river, new master planned communities and retail hubs, big time flood protection and transportation projects that don't really trend on social media but completely change how it feels to live here. So if you're planning to move here or invest here, or if you already live here and want to know what's coming in Sacramento in 2026, stick around because 2026 is going to be one of those years where you can either get ahead of the growth or get run over by it. Now, real quick, if this is your first time to the channel, we're Lance and Lauren with the Living in Sacramento team, where we help people move, live, and relocate to the greater Sacramento region by giving you boots on the ground information of what it's really like to live in the Sacramento region. So if you want to know more information about that, or you're interested about scheduling a free consultation, our contact information is going to be down in the description and pinned in the chat. Sacramento isn't the sleepy state capital that it used to be. The city and the region are in one of the biggest transformation phases locals have ever seen. And I'm not talking about one or two new buildings downtown. I'm talking about a brand new hospital campus at the rail yards, massive master plan communities adding tens of thousands of homes, a major reinvestment into old Sacramento and the riverfront, huge flood protection and connector projects that literally shape where it's safe and smart to build. So if you're moving here, you're not just choosing a house, you're choosing where you want to plug into the next chapter. And the people who understand these 10 projects are going to be way more strategic than the people who just show up and chase whatever listing pops up on their phone. So let's jump into the big ones. First up is going to be the Kaiser Permanente Rail Yards Medical Center. Now this is a massive deal for downtown Sacramento. Kaiser has broken ground on roughly $1 billion project, all electrical medical campus in the rail yards. We're talking about an 8-story hospital with 310 private beds, 14 operating rooms, 70-bay emergency department, intensive care units, NICU, labor and delivery, the whole setup. Next to that, there's a 5-story medical office building with dozens of exam rooms and provider offices. Now, why does this matter for you if you're moving here? Number one, jobs. We're talking about thousands of long-term, high-skilled positions in healthcare, administration, and support. That means more people living and working downtown instead of commuting out of it. And when you have people working in downtown around the clock, nurses on night shifts, doctors on calls, administrative staff, you create a 24/7 activity that makes a neighborhood feel alive. Number two, it makes the rail yards a real functioning district, not just a bunch of renderings. Once you anchor a neighborhood with a hospital, housing, and transit all together, it feels like a real city, not just a business district that dies around 5 p.m. Number three, access. If you're living downtown, midtown, Natomas, or even West Sacramento, having a major hospital and emergency department in the core is a game changer. No more driving 20 minutes to Mercy or Sutter when something urgent comes up. You've got world-class medical care right in the heart of the city. This isn't all going to be finished in 2026. It's a multi-year project, but 2026 is the year where it goes from an idea to where you can actually see things rising out of the dirt. That's when the surrounding land, housing, and small business opportunities start to get real. People start making decisions based off of what's actually built, not just what's promised in the glossy brochure. Staying in the rail yards for a second, Kaiser is just one piece of a much bigger puzzle. The broader rail yards plan includes thousands of units of housing over a long-term, millions of square feet of office, commercial space, future parks and public spaces, and proximity to the Sacramento Valley Station, light rail, and future streetcar line. For you, that means if you're the type of buyer or renter who truly wants that urban lifestyle, walking distance to work, transits, and events, this area is one that you want to keep your eye on over the next 5 to 10 years. 2026 is still early, but it's the moment where these anchors like Kaiser make the whole plan feel a lot less speculative and a lot more inevitable. Think about it this way. Downtown Sacramento used to be a very 9-to-5 government workers, office folks, everyone leaves by 6, and the streets are dead. As these rail yard projects come online, you start to get more of a 24/7 activity. Nurses on different shifts, medical staff, office workers, residents, events. That's what turns the central core into an actual neighborhood. That's what makes the downtown feel like a place you'd actually want to live, not just a place to visit. Now, quick pause if you're watching this and you can see yourself living downtown or in the rail yards. Once this thing really gets going, drop a comment down below and type in rail yards so we know that you're the urban core type. If not, don't worry about it. We're about to hit the suburbs and the riverfront too. Now, next, let's slide down to Old Sacramento because it isn't just a touristy boardwalk story anymore. The city has approved tens of millions of dollars waterfront reinvestment plan for Old Sacramento. The highlights: a new inclusive playground on the waterfront designed with input from local Native American tribes, a full replacement of the iconic wooden boardwalks which have been aging and patched for years, a vision of a more modern public market, food hall style space bringing in better food and drinks, and local businesses. Overall improvements to lighting, access, and public spaces along the river. Now there have been delays. This is government construction, right? So a lot of this work has slid from 2025 into 2026, and that's exactly why this year matters. It's when regular people actually start feeling the payoff. So imagine from a living here lens, instead of old Sacramento being a place you only go to when your relatives visit, it becomes a legit weekend hangout. Kids at the playground, strollers on the new boardwalk, better restaurants, more events, easier access from downtown and West Sacramento. Now, if you're thinking about living in downtown Sacramento, Midtown, West Sacramento, or even closer river neighborhoods, this becomes a part of your real lifestyle, not just a postcard. And here's what I've noticed. A lot of people who move to Sacramento dismiss old Sacramento as just for the tourists. But when these upgrades get done, when you've got a modern playground where you can actually take your kids, new boardwalks that aren't rotting full of splinters, and an actual good food and drink options, it completely changes how you use the space. It becomes your neighborhood riverfront, not just a place you avoid on the weekends because it's packed full of tour groups. Now let's cross over the river into West Sacramento, the Bridge District, where the Pierside project is one of the most important coming soon pieces. Pierside is going to be a 7-story, roughly a 260 unit riverfront community with some serious amenities. The plan includes a 15,000 square foot pool deck with a pool, a hot tub, and cabanas, 23,000 square feet of outdoor courtyard on the 3rd floor with fire pits, outdoor kitchens, dining areas, and a lounge zone, a separate multi-story commercial and amenity building with things like co-working, fitness, and potentially food and beverage space, direct riverfront frontage with views back to the Sacramento skyline. Construction has already gone vertical and reached full height. Completion is targeted for around 2026, which means it's one of the first big lifestyle-driven riverfront projects that's actually opened its doors. Why this matters? If you like the idea of modern urban apartment living with riverfront views and amenities, this is the real option. Not a rendering, not a coming soon in 5 years. This is actually happening in 2026. It also pushes the entire West Sac riverfront forward. More people living there, more justification for restaurants, bars, retails, and public spaces along the riverfront. Combine that with the streetcar, which we'll hit next, and living in West Sacramento feels more like living in a riverfront district than a suburb across the bridge. And honestly, I think West Sacramento is one of the most underrated parts of the whole conversation. Now, people still think of it as the other side of the river, but when you got projects like Pierside, the Bridge District, all coming online, the streetcar connecting you directly to downtown Sacramento, and you've got those skyline views, that's not a compromise. That's a lifestyle upgrade with a better value than trying to squeeze into a tiny downtown Sacramento condo for the same price. So to tie all of this together, we've got the downtown riverfront streetcar project. This is a planned 1.8 mile street line connecting West Sacramento's riverfront to Sutter Health Park across the Tower Bridge to the Sacramento Valley Station and into the downtown grid. It's designed to integrate with the light rail, regional buses, Amtrak, and future rail options. Now the point is to make it easier. Park once, move between West Sac, the rail yards, Old Sac, and downtown without having to drive anywhere. Support denser housing and mixed-use development along the river and near the station. Now from living in a Sacramento standpoint, this matters because it nudges us closer to a true urban core lifestyle. So if you buy or rent near one of these corridors, you'll see the benefit before people further out even realize it's changed. And look, I know a lot of people hear streetcar and they think and they roll their eyes, oh great, another transit project, that'll never happen. But here's the thing, the project has funding, it has the approvals, and it ties into a broader regional vision that actually is getting built. So if you're a long-term thinker, if you're somebody who wants to live in a place that's getting more connected, not less, this is the kind of infrastructure that matters. Okay, let's hit the project that nobody brags about on Instagram, but everybody depends on. Flood protection in the Sacramento region. Sacramento sits at the meeting point of the Sacramento and the American rivers, and historically our flood risk has been huge. Right now the region is deep into a multi-billion-dollar flood management risk program that includes raising and reinforcing levees across the stretches, building cutoff walls to prevent seepage, improving and widening bypasses to move water more safely during the big storms. If you're not an engineer, here's what that means in real life. It reduces the risk of neighborhood floods during extreme weather. It unlocks safer development closer to the river as protection levels improve, and it gives confidence to lenders, insurers, and big developers to keep investing in places like the rail yards, Natomas, and riverfront districts. So while the levee work isn't pretty, it's the foundation that allows for all the other pretty stuff. Housing, parks, restaurants, river trails to keep moving forward without putting people in harm's way. And here's something that most people don't think about. When you see a big project like Kaiser or Pierside getting built near the river, there's a reason. Banks are willing to finance it. It's because billions of dollars have already gone into making sure that those areas are protected. Without the flood infrastructure, none of these riverfront projects would even be insurable. So when I say that this is the unsexy stuff that matters, I'm not kidding. This is literally what makes modern Sacramento possible. Now question, if you're thinking about moving, does flood risk or infrastructure infrastructure even cross your mind? Or are you mostly focused on price, neighborhoods, and schools? Drop a comment about what you actually care about. No judgment, it helps us know which ones to break down and which ones to go deeper on future videos. Now let's head outward towards the suburbs, starting with one of the biggest projects, and that's going to be the Folsom Plan area that's south of Highway 50. Now this is huge. We've already talked about Folsom Ranch a ton on this channel, but the long-term vision and the long-term plan is for about 10,000 homes to be built out here. Multiple elementary schools and middle schools, community parks and regional neighborhoods, commercial centers, employment areas. In 2026 specifically, you're not seeing just more houses, but more amenities come into the area, which is key to making a master plan community feel real. We've already started to see ground break on the new grocery store out there. They've also invested in infrastructure like the new 12-acre park that is going to be included a lighted soccer field, lighted youth baseball fields, a playground, basketball courts, group picnic areas, restrooms, parkings, and it's right next to the elementary school. So if you're thinking about Folsom Ranch, 2026 is the year where it starts feeling less like new houses in a field and more like a true community with schools, sports on the weekends, life built in. Because here's what happens with the master plan communities. People buy in early for the new construction and the price, but then they get frustrated because there's nothing out there yet, no parks, no schools, nowhere to grab coffee on a Sunday morning. So we've already started to see a lot of these infrastructure things get built into Folsom Ranch, and they continue to get built in. 2026, Folsom Ranch is definitely going to start to flip the script. The bones are there, the homes are going up, and now the amenities are catching up with it, because that's when it stops feeling like a huge construction zone and starts feeling like home. Next up, you've got the Roseville Baseline Corridor. Now, if you've driven out there recently, you know it's new neighborhoods as far as the eye can see. 2026 is when the retail and the services part of that equation really steps up. The flagship project is the Baseline Marketplace, which is roughly 79 acres of shopping right at Baseline in Fittyman. So we just saw the Costco open up last Friday, and plans call for a Target, a Home Depot, restaurants and fast casual spots like Raising Cane's, and additional retail pads and services. The project received key approvals in 2025 for grading expected. The Costco's in, and most of it starts to build in 2026, with the first openings projected in early 2027. So why talk about this in a 2026 video? Because if you're buying a house into the Baseline area neighborhoods this year and you're getting ahead of that full retail build out, right now some buyers feel like they're just too far out. The same problem that we have in Folsom Ranch is the same thing happening out in West Roseville. But as that retail opens up, the whole area starts to function more like a complete suburb. And that usually shows up in both quality of life and in your home values. So we see this all the time. Somebody buys in Roseville when it still feels a little too far out there, and then 2 years later, Target opens up, Home Depot opens up, restaurants start popping up, and suddenly they're like, oh, now I get it. But by that point, prices have already moved. The smart buyers are the ones who understand what's coming and not just what's already there. Now let's look at the north and the northwest side of the Upper West Side specific plan near Natomas. Now this is a huge long-term plan that covers about 15,000 acres of development plus a 534 acre agricultural buffer. Now there is a total of 9,356 housing units planned, with more than half of those as multifamily or higher density housing. You're also going to have around 3 million square feet of commercial and office space, 10 active parks, an extension trail, and a greenbelt network. And here's the wild part. The plan area is only about 3.5 miles from downtown Sacramento. So what does that mean if you're thinking about moving here? Upper West Side isn't something you buy into tomorrow. It's a long horizon project, but it tells you where the region is heading. It's a shift towards a more mixed use, higher density, amenity rich communities that are closer to the core, with trails, parks, and jobs integrated instead of the endless sprawl that we hear you guys talk about. In the shorter term, it also highlights why Natomas, North Natomas, and the surrounding areas are interesting for 2026. So if you're somebody who wants to be close to downtown, but you still want newer construction and suburban amenities, Natomas is one of those pockets where you can get the best of both worlds and a really good bang for your buck. Westside develops over the next decade that the whole corridor is actually going to get more attractive. Last on this list, but huge for daily life, is the Capital Southeast Connector. This is planned as a 34-mile corridor connecting I-5 near Elk Grove to Highway 99 near Grant Line and Highway 50 near El Dorado Hills. It's built to add capacity and reduce congestion on existing routes, providing a more direct link between Elk Grove, Rancho Cordova, Folsom, and El Dorado Hills, and it includes multi-use paths along the road for bikes, pedestrians, and in some stretches, equestrian use. Portions of the connector have already built or are under construction for 2026, and this is one of those years where we see more segments move from concept into a visible reality. Now for you who's considering places like Rancho Cordova, Folsom Ranch, or even El Dorado Hills, or even kind of the ruralish fringe between them, this project is a big indicator of how your future commute and connectivity will look like. It's why these corridors are seeing so much development pressure. They're being lined up for easier reach. And here's what most people miss. Transportation infrastructure like this doesn't make your commute faster. It makes the entire region more desirable, because suddenly you can live in El Dorado Hills and work in Elk Grove and your commute isn't an hour on the back roads. Or you can live in Rancho Cordova and have easy access to Folsom Lake on the weekends without sitting in traffic. That's the kind of thing that changes where people think about where they buy. So what does this all actually mean if you're planning to move to Sacramento in 2026? It means that you're just not buying into the city today, you're buying into what the city is becoming. If you want urban, transit-connected energy, you'll be watching the places like the rail yards, Kaiser, Old Sac, the streetcar, and the riverfront on both sides. If you want that suburban space and new construction, you're gonna be looking at Folsom Ranch, Baseline Corridor, Elk Grove, Rancho Cordova, Natomas, and the future impact on that connector. Now, if you're a long-term thinker, things like the levee upgrades, flood risk, and big master plans like the Upper West Side should be absolutely on your radar, because they influence where the value and the lifestyles are actually going to grow over the next decade. And here's my final thought. Sacramento in 2026 is not the same market it was 3 years ago. The projects I just walked you through, they're not maybes, they're not someday, they're happening. Construction crews are on the ground, funding is approved, timelines are set. So if you're somebody who wants to move strategically, who wants to plug into that growth instead of chasing it, this is your year. So that's your 2026 playbook, 10 major projects and growth areas that are either new, under construction, or coming soon, and it will absolutely shape what it feels like to live here. So if Sacramento is even remotely on your radar at all, don't try to figure this thing out solo scrolling on your listings at midnight. Reach out to us. Our phone number is going to be popping up. We are the ones that answer every phone call, email, and text message, and we absolutely love it when you guys reach out to us. So give us a phone call, shoot us a text, or send us an email, or better yet, you can go ahead and book your one-on-one discovery call. It's completely free. It's no pressure. We talk about what your potential move looks like, what areas are on your radar, and what it actually looks like moving and living to the greater Sacramento metro. See you on that next videos for those brand new constructions in Natomas.